Long-running TV shows often have to change up how they run things in order to keep it fresh. What once may have been unimaginable becomes commonplace, and old plot lines and jokes are rehashed and stitched together in novel ways. The Simpsons has become a bit of a Frankenstein in a sense, grabbing bits and pieces from the past and piecing them together to make them work in a more modern context. In doing so, they've made some pretty outrageous claims, predictions, and jokes that turned out to hit pretty close to home. We're about halfway through 2021 at this point, meaning that 2022 isn't that far off, so let's talk about the top 5 Scary Simpsons predictions for 2022. Part 2. Coming at number 5, we've got a Dolphin Uprising. Kinda like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but much more violent. No musical numbers, no thanking for all the fish, no peaceful skedaddling off planet Earth. These dolphins are out for blood. It makes sense though. We've known for a while now that dolphins are incredibly smart creatures and that they've got their own social order and recreational activities. Why wouldn't they rise from the sea one day to take the land that we've squandered? In the Treehouse of Horror segment known as Night of the Dolphin, Lisa takes pity on a dolphin being held at a SeaWorld-like marine park. After setting poor Snorky free, it becomes apparent that he was king of the dolphins and didn't much enjoy being forced to do tricks for the entertainment of humans. So the dolphin rallies up his dolphin pals and starts a siege on Springfield. At first, the dolphin-inflicted casualties are ignored or blamed on other easy targets like rowdy teenagers. Where have we seen that before? Then it's a full-on assault on the town with dolphins tearing through people like heat-seeking missiles through toaster ovens. Apparently dolphins used to live on land in this scenario, but we'll ignore that bit for now. The dolphins win the fight against the humans surprisingly easily, forcing humanity back into the sea. Even though some of the folks with hearts more prone to bleeding do their best to assist the dolphins when they encounter human refuse, like say a six-pack ring over the snout, the dolphins push on relentlessly. Looking at this gag, you can pull out a few predictions. 1. SeaWorld and other parks were doomed to fail because of the cruel conditions their show animals lived in. 2. We've goofed up the ocean to a point that a lot of creatures can't live there anymore. And 3. The damage we've done and the cruelty we've enacted will come back to bite us in the butt. I'd say this Halloween special was spot on, even if it was a little far-fetched when it came to dolphin warfare. Hell, this one aired way before Blackfish was making headlines. Whoever wrote it knew it was only a matter of time before people clued into how awful aquatic theme parks were. Coming in number 4, we've got a plant life takeover. Here's another spin on the environmental disaster turned end of humanity tale. Instead of aquatic life rising up, this time it's foliage. The greens are coming to get us, and honestly, it's about time. We've been wreaking havoc on our natural environment for long enough. Let's give the plants a chance. In this episode, we have a more organic take on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, known as Invasion of the Pod-E Snatchers. Oh boy. This is another segment from a Treehouse of Horror episode. Do you sense a theme here? What channel is this again? After a weird message from an off-brand Apple CEO, the people of Earth are treated to a new piece of information. The technocrats are actually aliens with one goal: turn the people of Earth into plants. So after a new tech update, all sorts of spores are fired towards Earth and start to take over people's bodies. A lot of people's bodies take on new forms based on their personalities too. Anyone with a phone or a tablet or any other piece of tech gets hit first, with some goofy social commentary on being obsessed with devices crammed in there. But this prediction seems to be the gift that keeps on giving. Every time a new type of tech comes out and every time a new app is developed, folks keep claiming that people get addicted and don't care about anything else. However, we've kind of gotten used to embodying that over the past couple decades, with more of our lives taking place in digital spaces than ever before. Folks are indeed super reliant on their phones, laptops, and tablets, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And while it's not likely that we're all going to turn into plant creatures in the near future, we might start to see more physical changes as we become more and more reliant on technology. Working from home for extended periods of time might cause us to develop poor posture and exercise less. Less sunlight too. Folks are so used to their devices that they're always looking for their next hit, even if it doesn't really make sense to do so. These psychological changes likely lead to physical ones over time. It's not the most creative or original prediction / social commentary, but The Simpsons isn't wrong in saying that folks getting too involved in their devices will cause long-term changes down the road. Coming in number 3, France bombs America. Really? France? You heard it here first, folks. Looking at the classic Treehouse of Horror segment Omega Man, we get to see an apocalyptic vision of the future caused by some less than deft political maneuvering. Mayor Quimby makes a raunchy comment about frogs' legs, which makes folks worry that France might lash out. And guess what? They do. Because of an ill-advised sentence spoken by a big dumb politician, things went real sideways real fast. Homer survives while shopping for fallout shelters and emerges into a world full of corpses and mutants. After a day of gallivanting around in a mostly empty world, he discovers that his family survived the blast thanks to all of the lead paint in their house. Classic. So watch out for any really questionable political moments over the next little while, because even the most innocuous phrase could cause a nation to lose it. We've been preparing for this for years. What is modern politics if not trying to attract as many eyes as possible regardless of the consequences? Hopefully France doesn't decide that the nuclear option is the best one, but hey, if they do, I'll understand. Coming in at number 2, Hoax gone wrong. We've all heard about the first time War of the Worlds was broadcast, right? It was a faux live radio broadcast so effective that it caused mass panic all over the place. This tale of alien invasion made folks so afraid they ran screaming into the streets. Interestingly enough, the BBC pulled off a similar hoax years later with Ghostwatch, but with less mass panic and more frantic calls from the headquarters. Back to the first hoax though, the Simpsons put a spin on the famous broadcast by reenacting the original panic. An alien invasion radio show went on the air and everyone lost it. However, after they discovered that it was all a joke, they were pissed. Claiming they'd never be tricked again, the citizens of old-timey Springfield vowed to ignore any and all alien invasion information from then on. Famous aliens Kang and Kodos picked up on this and decided it was time for an invasion. And then nobody believed it was actually happening. Like the boy who cried wolf on a whole other level. It just seems like human nature at this point now, doesn't it? Folks believing anything they're presented with immediately and without question, followed by a whole bunch of ignoring research, precedent, and common sense. With all the hoaxes floating around the past few years, I wouldn't be surprised if we ignored something big and important just because in the future. So be on the lookout for a major social issue, catastrophic structural collapse, or additional viral infection. Folks will be so used to ignoring what's going on around them, it'll cause some major problems and no one will do anything about it. And finally at number 1, we've got no choice. We're already here. They predicted it, and now it's gonna happen every year forever until the inevitable collapse of society. Honestly, it couldn't come any faster at this point. Western society is predicated on the ideals of freedom and choice, but those are just illusions for the common folk, right? In the Treehouse of Horror segment Citizen Kang, Homer stumbles upon the alien-fueled plot to body snatch the 2 presidential candidates, making the election kind of a moot point. Regardless of who you vote for and who they say they are, you're really getting more or less the same thing in the end. Sure, they might look different and say different things, but what really changes? Plus, there's no alternative choice. Even if you didn't want to vote for the 2 squeaky clean politicians with all their pre-written speeches and platitudes about patriotism, what else is there to do? Politics. In the end, humanity is building weapons to fire at planets they don't even know the names of. Seems awfully familiar, doesn't it? With the way things have been going, it seems as though this will be the status quo moving forward too. You can vote for whoever you want in your local elections, but boy, does it ever feel like traditional politics keep new ideas from actually taking root. And how's that for some scary predictions? All pulled from the scariest of Simpsons episodes. Hopefully this was a bit of a fresh take on the predictions theme. So what'd you think of the list? Did you agree with my picks? What predictions have you realized are more true than ever? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more hairy ones from the first episode. Stephen Welk says, a time traveler. If you were a time traveler, you would know you could not just come out and say you'd been in the future. Everyone would think you were nuts or kill you when things started coming true. But to put it in a cartoon would be a smart thing to do. I think time travelers know better than to mess with the timeline, don't you? CG says, who would have thought? Humanity destroying humanity. And for the end, when you asked which one creeped you out more, for me it was the war. IDC about the virus in the burgers because I can just go vegan. But what about the vegan burger virus, huh? King Omri 124 2.0 says, you are lying. Say it to my face. Marcus Mullings says, what about extraterrestrials? I'm surprised that wasn't on the list. This time we got some more aliens in the mix. And Malik Basha says, Simpsons, tell that I will be a millionaire next year. I'll run that up the ladder to the folks at the Simpsons. And that's all the time we have for today. I'm gonna go step on a bunch of rakes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Nope. I don't know what I'm trying to say with this sentence. Let's try that again from the top. Even though some of the folks with... This is such a complicated sentence. Why did I write it like this? So watch out for any questions. Woo! What is happening? With the way things have been going, it seems as though this will be the status quo moving forward. With the way things have been going,